In the year 2147, humanity had spread far beyond Earth. People lived on planets and moons in distant star systems. They built cities, traded goods, and explored new worlds. But space was vast, and much of it remained a mystery. Even with advanced technology, there were still regions no human had ever seen. Captain Laura Hayes sat in the command chair of the *SS Vanguard*, a sleek exploration vessel. Her ship was small compared to the massive warships that protected Earth's borders, but it was fast and reliable. Laura had been in charge of the Vanguard* for 5 years, and she loved her job. She was calm under pressure and always made careful decisions. Her crew trusted her completely. The Vanguard* was patrolling near the edge of known space when something unusual happened. A faint signal appeared on their scanners. It was weak, almost like static, but it repeated every few seconds. The crew listened carefully as the message played over the speakers. At first it was just noise, but then came a voice, broken and distorted. "Help us before too late," it said. The word sent chills down everyone's spines. Commander Ryan Brooks leaned forward in his seat. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with sharp features and a serious expression. "That doesn't sound good," he muttered. "Do we know where it's coming from?" Laura studied the screen in front of her. "It's coming from deep space, way outside our usual routes. There's nothing out there. No colonies, no ships, nothing." Ryan frowned. Could it be a trap? Someone trying to lure us into dangerous territory? "It's possible," Laura admitted. "But what if it's real? What if someone really needs help?" She turned to face him. "We can't just ignore it. We have to check it out." Ryan sighed. He respected Laura's sense of duty, but he also worried about taking unnecessary risks. Still, he nodded. "All right, let's notify Earth Command first. If this is serious, they'll want to know." Laura agreed. She sent a detailed report back to Earth, explaining what they had found. While waiting for a response, the crew prepared the ship for whatever might lie ahead. They checked the engines, restocked supplies, and ran simulations for potential dangers. Everyone felt uneasy, though. Something about the signal didn't sit right. Hours later, Earth Command replied. Admiral Gregory Stone, the head of Earth's United Space Forces, gave them permission to investigate but warned them to stay cautious. "If you find anything suspicious, retreat immediately," he ordered. "Don't take any chances." As the Vanguard* moved closer to the source of the signal, strange things began happening. The ship's instruments acted oddly, flickering on and off without explanation. The crew tried to fix the problems, but nothing worked. Then, one night, Ensign Mia Torres, the youngest member of the crew, claimed she saw something outside, a shadow moving past the windows. When others rushed to look, there was nothing there. Despite these unsettling events, Laura remained focused. She reminded herself why they were here, to help those in need. Whoever, or whatever, had sent the distress call might still be alive. And if they were, Laura knew it was her responsibility to find them. Finally, after days of travel, the Vanguard* reached the location of the signal. What they saw left them speechless. Floating in the endless blackness of space was a massive object. It looked like a mix between a machine and some kind of living thing. Its surface shimmered with strange lights, and its shape twisted in ways that defied logic. No one aboard had ever seen anything like it. Laura stared at the object on the main screen, her heart pounding. This was not going to be an ordinary mission. Whatever secrets this mysterious structure held, they were about to uncover them, and maybe change the course of history forever. Admiral Gregory Stone sat in his office at Earth Command, staring at the report from the *SS Vanguard*. The message was clear. A distress call had been detected in uncharted space, and Captain Laura Hayes was already investigating. But something about the situation made him uneasy. The signal was too perfect, repeating just enough to grab attention but not giving away any useful information. It felt like bait. Stone leaned back in his chair and rubbed his temples. He was a tall man with graying hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Years of leading Earth's space forces had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now, they were screaming danger. Still, he couldn't ignore the possibility that real lives were at stake. If someone, or something, was out there needing help, humanity had a duty to respond. He called an emergency meeting with his top officers. Within minutes, the room filled with people, scientists, strategists, and military leaders. At the center of the table stood a holographic map showing the location of the distress signal. It was far beyond Earth's usual range, deep in a part of space no one had explored before. This changes everything. Admiral Stone began, his voice firm but calm. We don't know what we're dealing with. It could be survivors, or it could be a trap. Either way, we need to prepare for the worst. Captain Emily Dawson, a seasoned leader known for her quick thinking, stepped forward. She was shorter than most of the men in the room, but her presence commanded respect. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight bun, and her uniform was spotless. "Sir, I recommend mobilizing a fleet," she said. "If this is a threat, we'll need firepower. If it's legitimate, we'll have the resources to assist." Stone nodded. "Agreed. Assemble our best ships and crews. You'll lead them, Captain Dawson. Take the *SS Odyssey* as your flagship." Emily saluted sharply. "Understood, sir." While preparations began, rumors spread quickly among the ranks. Soldiers whispered about the mission during meals and training sessions. Some were excited by the chance to explore unknown territory, while others feared what might lie ahead. Lieutenant Daniel Carter, a skilled pilot assigned to the fleet, tried to keep his nerves in check. He'd flown dozens of missions, but this one felt different. Something about the distress call gave him a bad feeling. Dr. Allison Meyer, a xenobiologist tasked with studying any alien life forms they encountered, spent hours reviewing data from the *SS Vanguard*. She was fascinated by the description of the mysterious object. "It sounds organic," she told her assistant, Mia Chen. "Like it's alive somehow. This could be the discovery of the century." As the days passed, the fleet grew larger. 50 ships of various sizes gathered near Earth's orbital dockyards. Engineers worked around the clock to ensure every vessel was ready for battle. Weapon systems were tested, shields reinforced, and supplies loaded onto cargo holds. The entire operation buzzed with activity. On the day of departure, families gathered to say goodbye to their loved ones. Tears were shed, hugs exchanged, and promises made to return safely. Among the crowd stood Sergeant Olivia Grayson, a tough Marine known for her bravery. Her younger brother clung to her arm, begging her not to go. "I'll be fine," she reassured him, ruffling his hair. "Just watch over Mom while I'm gone." When the fleet launched, Earth watched with bated breath. News outlets broadcast live coverage as the ships disappeared into the stars. For many, this mission represented hope, a chance to prove that humanity could face the unknown and come out stronger. But for those aboard the ships, the journey ahead was filled with uncertainty. As the fleet moved deeper into space, Admiral Stone stayed in constant communication with Captain Dawson. "Stay vigilant," he warned her. "And remember, if things go south, retreat is always an option." Emily nodded, though she knew retreating wouldn't be easy, not when so much was on the line. Whatever awaited them at the source of the distress call, one thing was certain: it would test their courage, their strength, and their will to survive. The journey to the source of the distress call took weeks. The fleet traveled through regions of space that no human had ever seen before. Stars burned brighter here, and strange clouds of gas floated in the darkness. It was beautiful but also eerie, like stepping into a dream where nothing felt quite real. Captain Emily Dawson stood on the bridge of the *SS Odyssey*, staring out at the endless void. She was a strong leader, but even she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The closer they got to their destination, the more unusual things became. Equipment malfunctioned without explanation. Lights flickered. Some crew members reported hearing faint whispers over the comms, though no one else could confirm it. Lieutenant Daniel Carter, the skilled pilot, noticed changes too. His ship's controls felt sluggish, as if the air itself was heavy. He mentioned it to Sergeant Olivia Grayson during one of their breaks. "It's like the ship doesn't want to go forward," he said, shaking his head. "Does that make sense?" Olivia frowned. "Not really. But I've been getting weird vibes too. My team keeps saying they see shadows moving in the corners of their eyes. When they turn to look, there's nothing there." Dr. Allison Meyer, the xenobiologist, spent most of her time studying data from the *SS Vanguard*. She had reviewed recordings of the distress signal countless times, trying to find patterns or clues. But the more she listened, the more it troubled her. "There's something unnatural about this," she told Captain Dawson one evening. "The voice, it doesn't sound completely human. And the language, I can't place it. It's almost like it's layered with something else." Emily nodded thoughtfully. "We'll know soon enough," she said. "We're only a few days away now." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the fleet reached the coordinates. What they saw left everyone speechless. Floating in the blackness of space was a massive structure unlike anything humanity had encountered before. It looked part machine, part living organism. Its surface shimmered with shifting colors, and strange spires jutted out at odd angles. It pulsed faintly, as if breathing. "This is it," Emily whispered to herself. She ordered the fleet to hold position while a smaller team investigated. Lieutenant Carter and Sergeant Grayson volunteered to lead the boarding party, along with Dr. Meyer and a handful of Marines. They climbed into a shuttle and headed toward the structure. As they approached, the same distress signal blared across all frequencies. This time, it was louder, almost deafening. "Help us, before it's too late." The words echoed inside the shuttle, making everyone uneasy. When the shuttle docked, the team stepped onto the surface of the structure. It felt strange underfoot, smooth yet slightly spongy, like walking on thick rubber. The air inside was breathable, but it smelled metallic and sharp. Strange symbols glowed softly along the walls, pulsing in rhythm with the faint hum around them. "This place is alive," Dr. Meyer murmured, running her hand over the wall. "Or at least, it used to be." They moved cautiously down a narrow corridor. The walls seemed to shift slightly, as if responding to their presence. Every step echoed loudly, breaking the silence. Then they found something that made their blood run cold. Humanoid skeletons embedded in the walls. Their faces were frozen in expressions of terror, mouths open in silent screams. "What happened to them?" Olivia asked, her voice trembling. No one answered. They didn't need to. Whatever had killed these people was still here. Suddenly, alarms blared inside the structure. Doors slammed shut behind them, trapping the team inside. Back on the fleet, chaos erupted as swarms of drone-like creatures emerged from the structure, heading straight for the ships. The mission had just become far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The team inside the structure froze as the doors sealed shut behind them. Panic began to creep in, but Lieutenant Daniel Carter quickly took charge. "Stay calm," he said, his voice steady despite the fear building in his chest. "We need to find another way out." Dr. Allison Meyer nodded, trying to focus on the task at hand. Her mind raced as she studied the walls around them. The glowing symbols had changed. They now pulsed faster, almost like a heartbeat. "This place is reacting to us," she muttered. "It knows we're here." Sergeant Olivia Grayson tightened her grip on her weapon. She glanced at the Marines with her, all of them tense and ready for action. "Keep your eyes open," she ordered. "Whatever's coming, we'll be ready." They moved forward cautiously, searching for an exit or some kind of control panel that might reopen the doors. The corridors twisted and turned unpredictably, making it hard to keep track of where they were going. Strange noises echoed around them. clicks, hums, and faint screeches that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Then they saw movement ahead. At first, it was just shadows flickering along the walls. But soon, shapes began to emerge, small, insect-like creatures crawling toward them. Their bodies shimmered like liquid metal, and their many legs clicked against the floor. They didn't look alive, yet they moved with purpose. "Get back," Olivia shouted, raising her rifle. She fired a shot, hitting one of the creatures. It exploded into a spray of sparks, but was quickly replaced by two more. The team backed away, firing repeatedly, but the creatures kept coming. "We can't fight them all," Carter yelled. "We need to find cover." They retreated into a larger chamber, slamming the heavy door shut behind them. For a moment, they caught their breath, listening to the relentless pounding on the other side. The creatures were trying to break through. Dr. Meyer examined the room while the others stood guard. In the center was a massive console covered in the same glowing symbols. She approached it carefully, running her fingers over the surface. "This might be our way out," she said, "if I can figure out how this thing works." Before she could finish, the wall behind her rippled and shifted. A large biomechanical creature emerged, towering over them. Its body was a mix of flesh and metal, with jagged limbs and glowing red eyes. It let out a low growl, sending shivers down everyone's spines. "Everyone, fall back," Olivia commanded, aiming her weapon. The Marines opened fire, but the creature barely flinched. It swung one of its arms, knocking two of them off their feet. Carter grabbed Dr. Meyer's arm. "Forget the console. We need to move. Now." They ran toward the far end of the chamber, dodging attacks from the creature. Just as they reached the doorway, the ground beneath them trembled. A section of the wall collapsed, revealing a tunnel leading deeper into the structure. "This way," Carter shouted, gesturing for the group to follow him. They sprinted into the tunnel, leaving the monstrous creature behind. For now. Meanwhile, outside the structure, the fleet was under attack. Swarms of drone-like creatures poured out of the massive object, heading straight for the ships. Lasers and missiles filled the sky as the humans fought desperately to defend themselves. Explosions lit up the darkness as several ships were hit, their wreckage drifting silently into space. Captain Emily Dawson watched the chaos unfold from the bridge of the *SS Odyssey*. Her jaw clenched as she gave orders to her crew. "Focus fire on the largest groups. Don't let them swarm us." Admiral Gregory Stone's voice crackled over the comms. "Dawson, what's happening out there?" "It's bad, sir," she replied. "These things are fast and relentless. We're holding our own, but I don't know how much longer we can last." Back inside the structure, Carter and his team finally found a safe spot to regroup. They were battered and exhausted, but alive. For now. Dr. Meyer leaned against the wall, catching her breath. "That thing, it wasn't just attacking us," she said. "It was protecting something." "What do you mean?" Olivia asked. "I think the core of this structure, the heart of it, is still active. Whatever's controlling this place, it's using those creatures to guard it." Carter frowned. "So, we're not just dealing with a ship or station. This entire thing is alive, and it doesn't want us here." As they prepared to push forward, none of them realized how close they were to uncovering the horrifying truth about the structure. And time was running out, not just for them, but for the entire fleet. Captain Emily Dawson gripped the railing on the bridge of the *SS Odyssey*, her knuckles white. The battle outside was chaos. The drone-like creatures swarmed around the fleet, relentless and deadly. Ships exploded in fiery bursts, their debris scattering into the void. Her crew worked tirelessly, firing weapons and trying to keep the shields up. But it wasn't enough. Too many ships were falling. "We're losing too many vessels," shouted Lieutenant Marcus Hale, her tactical officer. His face was pale, his voice strained. "If this keeps up, we won't have a fleet left." Emily clenched her teeth. She hated feeling powerless, but she knew they couldn't retreat. Not yet. Not while Carter's team was still trapped inside that monstrous structure. She turned to Communications Officer Lisa Hart. "Any word from the boarding party?" Lisa shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. Either they're too deep inside to send a signal, or something's blocking them." Emily didn't want to think about the second possibility. She tapped her earpiece, connecting to Admiral Stone back at Earth Command. "Sir, we're holding on, but barely. These things are unlike anything we've fought before. We need another plan." Stone's voice came through, calm but urgent. "Dawson, I'm authorizing the use of the EMP cannons. They're experimental, but if they can disrupt these creatures' systems, it might give you an edge." Emily hesitated. The EMP cannons had never been tested in combat. If they failed, the fleet would be defenseless. But they didn't have a choice. "Understood, sir. Preparing the EMP now." She gave the order, and the crew sprang into action. The EMP cannons charged with a low hum, energy crackling around the barrels. When they fired, bright blue pulses shot out, washing over the swarm of drones. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the creatures froze mid-flight before collapsing into lifeless husks. "It's working," Marcus exclaimed, relief breaking through his tension. "Keep firing." The tide began to turn. With the drones neutralized, the fleet regrouped, focusing their remaining firepower on the larger threats. Explosions lit up the darkness as more of the enemy forces were destroyed. But the victory came at a cost. Nearly half the fleet lay in ruins, drifting silently in space. Inside the structure, Carter and his team struggled to survive. After narrowly escaping the biomechanical creature, they found themselves in a labyrinth of pulsing corridors. The walls seemed alive, shifting and changing, as if the structure itself was hunting them. Dr. Meyer led the way, her eyes scanning for any sign of an exit or control panel. "This place is feeding off us," she said, her voice trembling. "Every step we take, every move we make, it's growing stronger." Sergeant Olivia Grayson nodded grimly. "Then we don't stop moving. We find whatever's controlling this thing and shut it down." They pressed forward, dodging more of the insect-like creatures that lurked in the shadows. Each encounter left them more battered and exhausted, but they refused to give up. Finally, they reached a massive chamber at the heart of the structure. In the center was a towering mass of writhing tendrils and glowing cores, a hive mind. It pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat, and the air around it crackled with energy. "That's it," Dr. Meyer whispered. "That's the source." Before they could act, the ground trembled violently. More of the biomechanical creatures burst into the chamber, surrounding them. Carter raised his weapon, determination hardening his features. "We're not leaving until this thing is dead." Back on the fleet, Emily watched the structure intently. Something about it felt different. The lights on its surface flickered erratically, and the entire object began to vibrate. "Something's happening inside," she murmured. "Whatever they're doing, it's working." But as hope began to rise, a new threat emerged. From the core of the structure, a massive tendril lashed out, smashing into one of the nearby ships. The impact sent the vessel spiraling out of control, its engines engulfed in flames. "Captain, we can't hold position much longer," Marcus yelled. "That thing's waking up." Emily gritted her teeth. "Hold steady. Give them as much time as you can." Inside the hive, Carter and his team fought furiously, inching closer to the pulsing core. One by one, the Marines fell, sacrificing themselves to protect the others. Finally, Carter reached the base of the hive mind. He planted explosives, setting the timer for 30 seconds. "This is it," he said, looking at Dr. Meyer and Olivia. "Run." They sprinted toward the exit as the countdown began. Behind them, the hive let out an ear-splitting screech, its tendrils thrashing wildly. The entire structure started to collapse, shaking violently. Outside, Emily saw the explosions rippling through the structure. "They did it," she whispered. But there was no time to celebrate. Debris flew in all directions, forcing the fleet to scatter. As the structure disintegrated, the surviving ships limped away, battered but alive. The mission had been a success, but at a terrible price. And as the fleet disappeared into the stars, the memory of what they'd faced lingered, a reminder of how fragile humanity's place in the universe truly was. The explosion tore through the structure, ripping it apart piece by piece. The massive hive mind at its core let out one final, deafening screech before collapsing into itself. Fire and shards of metal shot out in every direction, lighting up the darkness of space like a dying star. The surviving ships of Earth's fleet scrambled to escape the chaos, their engines roaring as they fled the destruction. Captain Emily Dawson watched from the bridge of the SS Odyssey *, her heart pounding. She had seen the flash of the explosion, proof that Carter's team had succeeded in destroying the hive. But she couldn't shake the feeling of loss. So many lives had been sacrificed, brave men and women who had given everything to protect humanity. Her hands tightened on the railing as she turned to her crew. "Status report," she said, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside her. Lieutenant Marcus Hale checked his console. "Shields are holding, but we've taken heavy damage. Engines are running at 60% capacity. We're not going anywhere fast." Emily nodded grimly. "Get us clear of the debris field, then assess the fleet. How many ships made it?" Lisa Hart, the communications officer, hesitated before answering. "Less than half, Captain. Some ships are too damaged to move. Others didn't make it." The weight of those words hung heavy in the air. Emily closed her eyes for a moment, steeling herself. They had won, but the cost had been devastating. Humanity had faced an enemy unlike anything they'd ever encountered, and barely survived. Meanwhile, deep inside the crumbling structure, Lieutenant Daniel Carter and Sergeant Olivia Grayson raced toward the exit. Dr. Allison Meyer followed close behind, clutching her side where she had been injured during the fight. The corridor shook violently, chunks of the ceiling falling around them. Behind them, the remnants of the hive mind continued to collapse, its dying screams echoing through the halls. "We're not going to make it," Olivia shouted as another tremor nearly knocked them off their feet. "Yes, we are," Carter snapped back, his voice fierce. He grabbed Dr. Meyer's arm, helping her keep pace. "Keep moving." They reached the docking bay just as the entire structure began to implode. The shuttle they had arrived in was still there, miraculously intact. Carter shoved the others inside, jumping in after them. "Go, go," he yelled to the pilot, who wasted no time firing up the engines. The shuttle launched just as the floor beneath them gave way, swallowed by the collapsing structure. For a few terrifying seconds, they were caught in the shockwave of the explosion, tossed like a leaf in a storm. Then, with a final burst of speed, they broke free, emerging into the vastness of space. Back on the SS Odyssey *, Emily spotted the small shuttle limping toward them. Relief washed over her face. "Bring them aboard," she ordered. Moments later, Carter, Olivia, and Dr. Meyer stumbled onto the ship, covered in dust and bruises but alive. Carter approached Emily, his uniform torn and his face streaked with soot. "We did it," he said, his voice hoarse. "The hive is gone." Emily nodded, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You saved us all, but we lost too many good people today." Dr. Meyer stepped forward, her expression haunted. "That thing. It wasn't just a machine or an alien species. It was something else, a fusion of biology and technology. If even a fragment of it survives, it could rebuild itself." Emily's jaw tightened. "Then we'll stay here until we're sure it's completely destroyed. No risks." Hours passed as the fleet surveyed the wreckage. There was no sign of life or movement from what remained of the structure. Finally, Admiral Stone's voice came over the comms. "Well done, Captain Dawson. You've done humanity proud." But Emily knew this victory came at a price. As the fleet began its long journey home, she stood alone on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. The mission had shown her how fragile humanity's place in the universe truly was. Out there, in the endless expanse of space, other threats might be waiting, silent, unseen, and far more dangerous. For now, though, they had survived. And that was enough. The journey back to Earth was long and somber. The fleet moved slowly, its ships battered and scarred from the battle. Many of the vessels had lost their captains, their crews, or both. Those who remained carried the weight of what they had seen and done. Conversations were rare, and laughter even rarer. Everyone was exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. Captain Emily Dawson spent most of her time on the bridge of the *SS Odyssey*, staring out at the stars. She felt a deep sense of pride in her crew and those who had fought alongside them, but it was overshadowed by grief. Too many lives had been lost. Friends, colleagues, people she had known for years. They were gone. And though they had saved humanity from an unimaginable threat, the cost weighed heavily on her heart. Lieutenant Daniel Carter sat in the mess hall, picking at a plate of food he didn't feel like eating. Sergeant Olivia Grayson joined him, sliding into the seat across the table. Her face was pale, her usual confidence replaced by a quiet sadness. "You okay?" she asked softly. Carter shrugged. "I don't know. I keep thinking about everyone we left behind. Was it worth it?" Olivia hesitated before answering. "We stopped something that could have wiped us all out. That has to count for something." "It does," Carter admitted. "But it doesn't make it easier." Dr. Allison Meyer spent her days reviewing the data they had collected from the structure. She barely slept, driven by a need to understand what they had faced. The more she studied, the clearer it became. The hive mind wasn't just a machine or a creature. It was something far older and more advanced than humanity. Its ability to blend organic and synthetic life forms suggested a level of technology, and possibly intelligence, beyond anything Earth had ever encountered. When she presented her findings to Captain Dawson, her voice trembled with unease. "This wasn't the first of its kind," she said. "It might not even be the last. If there are others like it out there, we need to be ready." Emily nodded, her expression grim. "Then we'll prepare. Humanity will learn from this. We'll grow stronger." As the fleet approached Earth, news of their victory spread quickly. People gathered in cities and towns, watching as the battered ships descended through the atmosphere. There were cheers and celebrations, but also moments of silence to honor those who hadn't returned. Families embraced soldiers stepping off the ships, tears streaming down their faces. Admiral Gregory Stone greeted Captain Dawson personally, his usual stern demeanor softened by gratitude. "You did what no one else could have," he said. "You saved us all." Emily shook her head. "Not alone. Everyone played a part. This wasn't just my victory. It belongs to all of us." In the weeks that followed, humanity began to heal. Memorials were built for the fallen, and stories of their bravery were shared across the globe. The mission became a symbol of unity, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity could come together and prevail. But for some, the experience changed them forever. Dr. Meyer dedicated herself to studying alien biology, determined to unlock the secrets of the hive mind. Lieutenant Carter struggled with guilt, wondering if he could have saved more of his team. And Captain Dawson found herself reflecting on the fragility of peace in a universe full of unknown dangers. One night, as Emily stood on a balcony overlooking the city, Admiral Stone joined her. "Do you think we'll see something like that again?" he asked, his tone serious. Emily looked up at the stars, their light twinkling faintly in the distance. "Probably," she admitted. "Space is vast, and we're still so small. But if we do, we'll be ready." Stone nodded, his gaze following hers. "Good, because whatever comes next, we'll face it together." And somewhere, far beyond the edge of explored space, another signal began to pulse through the void, a faint whisper waiting to be heard. Humanity had won this battle, but the war for survival was far from over.